I met Katherine in 2012. So we've worked together 5.5 years. Worked, I think, in every dimension that she has offered. So I feel more expanded, more secure. You can't be expanded if you don't feel secure. More cleaned out of things that I needed to face and understand and let go of. And so when we do that inner work, then we have this much greater capacity, I think, for love. And the freedom to expand. I can break it down into more specific growth patterns, I suppose. But the largest thing is I was never wanted to die with regrets. It's been a desire of mine forever. And I'm closer to that. I'm closer to where I may not like everything I did, but it doesn't weigh, I don't carry it, and I feel so much more joy. Attribute it to the last 5 years of work with Katherine and the way she integrates so many systems. So I had crossed the 60 line when I met her, and I am a therapist, and of course I've been in therapy, and I knew the Enneagram, so I had a lot of rich work, inner work, and exposure to fine teachers before meeting her. But my goal to expand that capacity to love and tolerance and self-acceptance has just grown and grown with the privilege of working with her. So what do we learn? And what did I learn with Katherine? Tons, right? But what really one of the foci is communication. So from my perspective as being a 9, I learned a lot about how my spontaneity gets stuck and all the ways that I would freeze. So one of the things, whether it's with friends or family or clients, I feel much more capacity to offer that spontaneous response. And so where does that come from? It comes from self-trust and having become more transparent and aware of the fears, which goes back to the power of the Enneagram, right? But our motivations and our fears and our blocks become more and more transparent at deeper and deeper levels. And it affects, for me, and I think everyone, across the board, our capacity to be with others in authentic exchanges, where I could trust my own self more in working with my own clients as I work as a psychologist, or participating in discussions with others in general. And I think grew in the capacity to recognize finer and finer levels of how my type, tritype, and instinct keep showing up in who I am. What she's brought to me in a new way is that commitment to help me see that every piece of understanding about ourselves that we can integrate and pull in, and all of the Enneagram words and aspects, all of the combinations, but other things too, whether it's the Myers-Briggs and what we notice about our decision making, or whether it's facial archetypes or energy levels, or working with your chakras, and learning how to assess, even be self-aware of, am I standing and am I entering a space with clarity, not just groundedness, but also clear energy. and how to refine that. So you put all that together. And what I've found with Katherine is she helps me work flexibly with many systems and whatever is arising in the moment. I have used the term sacred psychology for how I saw my work prior to meeting Katherine. But I've stepped into that in a new way. In fact, I just was saying that the other day, that I feel like I've entered into not an, I don't think it's a rigid identity like another thing to break off. I hope not. Might be. We'll see. But the identity of the capacity to be a healer at many levels at once. And that is actually, when I understand type and tri-type at a deeper level, it's actually part of my calling on earth. I knew it, but I know it more deeply. So how does that impact my clients? I think in the same way that Katherine was free to work in multiple systems in multiple ways and in self-revealing ways, I'm more free to do that with my own clients. The feedback, unexpected feedback that my clients give me, volunteer on what they receive from their work, comes from a very deep place in them. So I know sometimes we enter a zone where it's real oneness. I'm much more committed to integrate the Enneagram into my work now. Prior to just doing this fine-tuning through workshops and personal consultation with Katherine. Prior to that, I used the Enneagram more as for my own understanding of the individual, but I didn't feel secure enough to introduce it and involve people in this multi-level, simple yet complex system. Now we use it regularly with confidence. So that's more stated. They know that if spirituality is a part of their path, we can look at that from whatever angle feels real to them. If it isn't, it isn't not addressed. And they probably see me as I said, more self-revealing. Speaking only from the way I was created in this form, but I'm much more at ease in groups. So that opens up many more conversations. I fear less being cut out of groups when you can express yourself more freely. It opens that pathway for accepting others and knowing how to make oneself heard, certainly to me. And to get your work out there, feel like you're communicating what you value and what you feel you want to offer the world. And all of that stemmed from fine-tuning, really fine-tuning, where do I block the spontaneity and what fears block that. So the mega result from the fine-tuning and the deep inquiry of what the fears are. It's so wonderful when you have an experience where, you're in the same experience suddenly, and then you see yourself expressing, or in some way, whatever our growth challenge has been, managing it without the restrictions and constrictions, and discover that it takes so much less of a toll, and is done with maybe happiness and joy and fun. And I think that's very real expectation of good work in the therapies that come through Katherine's work. What I also loved was when you have those shared experiences within a training, then if you're in coaching with Katherine or someone else in that workshop even, you can you have that shared experience that you can refer back to and unpack it. So whether it's online classes and there's an exchange, or in a real, in-person workshop, there's all that material in private coaching that then you can talk about and look at how you responded and what that teaches us about ourselves and helps us put together, take in new aspects of us. It took me a while to recall when you said, well, your first experience. I wasn't going to tell you about my life before Katherine, but then I thought, oh yeah, there's that wonderful thing where I knew I wanted to tap into that joy. Isn't that beautiful?